Hey there, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Instagram. Hi there, YouTube. I am just letting my folks on Instagram who I would love to come on over and join us. We have a lot to discuss today, and I am sorry that I had you guys waiting for us to have our lots to discuss today. Have you ever felt like you are surely on an episode of Pranked? Like you're the last person to know it, and maybe everybody else knows it, and everybody else is watching, and everybody else is getting obvious enjoyment out of the prank, the gaslighting, the whatever the case may be. That was us today. Woo! That was us. An event this morning. Prayerfully, I will still be bringing you the footage from the event later today. Had hoped to be bringing it live. Hi, Instagram. Hi. Come on over at Monique Presley channel. So I will be able to take your questions as we go. I hopefully later today, we'll be able to bring you here at the Monique Presley Show, where we still do everything that we possibly can to help make it make sense, give you clarity, as the young folks say, give you clarity where there might be confusion, correct the record where that's necessary, context, that's important these days. So we are trying to do all of those things, and that includes something I can't even discuss, but some information that I want to bring to you that will be hopefully hot off the press later today. But for right now, welcome to the Monique Presley Show. Hi there, Instagram. I'm not going to stay on here the whole time. Wander on over to YouTube, to the Monique Presley channel, where I will be doing what I do every day, which is posting some comments on the screen. Well, hello there, gorgeous. And taking questions at the end when I can. And so that's what we're going to do. And there's a lot going on. Yesterday, I touched briefly on what's happening in Minnesota, and that Keith Ellison, the Attorney General for Minnesota, has filed suit against the executive branch, against the federal government, the Trump administration's government, by Instagram. Come on over. I'm Monique Presley channel. See you soon. Has filed suit because they want to get ICE out. As we showed yesterday, same thing that's going on in Oregon is going on in Minnesota. And because Keith Ellison, on behalf of the state of Minnesota, is convinced that what is happening is targeted at the state of Minnesota, when their immigration population is significantly less than at least 5 other states that are not being targeted. He's convinced, and in his press conference, you can go look up his presser. I'm not going to play it for you today. He is convinced that it is because they are targeting people who have a certain skin color or speak with an accent. And you can see from the way the ICE agents are handling themselves that that's exactly what's going on. The people that they stop, and they say things out loud that if they had any training whatsoever, they never would say, like, well, you speak with an accent, like you sound like you're not from here. It's hideous. So he laid out the case for the fact that Minnesota has a small immigrant population, that people who are brown skinned are being targeted, that people who have accents, even though they're American citizens, are being targeted, that the actions that are being taken are unlawful and deserve to be investigated, that there is a refusal to participate with state and local law enforcement officials in the way that ICE is carrying out its orders. They are refusing to participate, and it seems as if that refusal to participate and the lack of training and the savage way that, as Congresswoman Bynum would say about them, these goons are out there on these streets. It has cost a woman, Renee Nicole Good, her life. And it is causing people to be arrested. It is causing people to be harassed, to be assaulted, to be battered. So he lays out that case. He lays out that case. And I see someone on here saying you're in Oregon. Stay safe. Stay safe out there. Sam, I am _55. Please stay safe. And we send the best to you and to your loved ones, your family, your friends, everybody in your work environment. Because what we're learning is that in these places where they are invading, in these cities that are under siege, in these states that are supposed to be part of the United States of America, that they are pretending to be people who work for utility companies in order to illegally gain access to people's homes. They are requiring documentation. Show me your papers, requiring documentation from people who are not, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be able to walk down the street in the United States without somebody walking up to you in law enforcement and demanding for no reason at all, or for a pretext that you show your driver's license or your ID. You're not supposed to have to carry ID with you. And if you're driving, yes, you're not supposed to be driving without a driver's license. But if you're just walking down the streets or going to the grocery store or stopping at a 7-Eleven or walking down the street, going into your church, into your job, unless you're in a federal building where they require you to have ID in order to get in, or someplace that requires you to have ID. And then if you don't have it, then they just don't let you in. They don't demand that you go get it and threaten to detain you. That's not what this country is or what it is supposed to be. And so Keith Ellison has sued and stated that this has to stop, that the presence of the DHS agents, the lawless presence of the agents has to stop, and a judge has already determined that the case can go forward. So we'll be following that. We'll be bringing you as much information as we possibly can about that. But what else is happening because of that? What we are finding is that DOJ career litigators, career prosecutors at the federal level in the civil division, the civil rights division, where they're responsible for or used to be responsible for investigating law enforcement involved shootings, law enforcement involved wrongful death cases, police killings, where it's suspected that there could have been excessive force used. There's an entire branch of the Department of Justice that is responsible for investigating that. And it appears that the DOJ, this division, was told that wasn't going to happen. Why am I telling you that? I shall show you. Mass exodus. It's Justice Department Civil Rights Division amid lack of action in Minneapolis. And you guys know how I am when I'm reading all the small print. But it says several career prosecutors in the Justice Department Civil Rights Division announced that they are leaving the department shortly after they learned there would be no civil rights probe into the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis woman by a federal immigration agent, the Minneapolis woman being Renee Nicole Good. So they learn that there's not going to be an investigation whatsoever, and then they leave. And of course, the spokespeople for the DOJ are saying that it was planned, but it wasn't. At least 6 prosecutors, most of whom are supervisors in the Civil Rights Division's criminal section, will be leaving their jobs. Their decision to depart was announced in a meeting to staff on Monday, 2 days ago. The announcement came after CBS News reported on Friday that career prosecutors in the section had offered to drop all of their work to help investigate the Minneapolis shooting. but they were told there would be no criminal civil rights investigation. You can read the rest of the article. Can you imagine being committed to your work and having served not just years, but decades in a division, and you learn that not only are you not going to be permitted to do your job, you're not going to be permitted to do your job, which is to investigate, but there's not going to be any investigation at all. So huge case, national, international attention. Everybody can see what they see with their eyes, hear what they hear as more and more video comes out. And knowing that due process and guidelines and everything that you can think of requires after action investigation, officer involved shooting. And where it looks pretty obvious that an investigation is required to determine whether it was necessary for them to stop her at all, whether it was necessary for them to detain her, because that's what they did, whether it was necessary for them to order her out, whether it was necessary for guns to be drawn, whether it was necessary to shoot. All of those things need to be officially investigated and determined. And what the criminal section of the Civil Rights Division was told is there's not going to be any. And in fact, what they're trying to do instead is put it in from the vantage point of the ICE agent being the victim, not the woman who's lost her life with the youngest child, 6 years old, now an orphan. But the agent who did the shooting, that's who our current federal government wants to be at fault. The woman who's dead and the ICE agent is the victim. That's what they said. That's what they've been trying to sell. And you've probably seen it. J.D. Vance, Harmeet Dillon, who's the head of Civil Rights Division, they're all towing that line. This poor, innocent ICE agent is what they want us to see. So it's not just happening, though, in the Civil Rights Division. It's not just happening there. Even in the local government, I see what you're saying in the comments. Someone is asking, do you think that's the right move? I don't know. Which move? Do I think which move is the right move? And I'll try to answer your question. I have a follow-up question for your question. Do I think which move is the right move? If you're talking about them leaving, they have no choice. When you are a member of the bar and when you have sworn an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, and when in addition to that, you are a government lawyer with specific responsibilities, whether it is in defense of the United States or it is in investigating and prosecuting crime, when you are asked to take unlawful actions or when you are asked to refrain from lawful ones and it's not a close call, you got to go. That's your own career that they're trying to put in a sling. And the only thing that you can do, because you can't force the investigation, you can't force your supervisors to do what they have decided not to do. The only thing that you can do is walk away, stand down in protest. Yes. So if that's what you're talking about, yes, I do believe that is the right thing. The only thing, and unfortunately, what sometimes people want to see from prosecutors and government lawyers when they walk away is them speak about it, but attorney-client privilege protections survive the end of your employment. They exist while you're there and they survive. And even if it's like whistleblower cases, there are some very unique circumstances where a judge may order you to say something, but even then, and I've been there where people were trying to order me to say things that I just was not permitted to say. And it doesn't matter if the client's saying something, if your former employer is saying something, you still have an independent obligation. And the attorney-client privilege rests with and belongs to the client. It's the client's to waive. It's not the attorney's to waive. So if the government, the people of the United States, waived the privilege, then these lawyers could speak. But other than that, which of course, you know, I mean, Trump and company, Pam Bondi and them, and Harmeet Dillon, they're not going to permit these lawyers to speak. So no, we may not find out ever all of the inner workings. We may not. But they're not the only ones. They're not the only ones who have resigned. Lo and behold, at least 6 Minnesota federal prosecutors have also resigned amid pressure to treat Renee Good killing as assault on ICE agent. So we've got people in the criminal section of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice who are resigning, and who have resigned because the Department of Justice has decided to not even investigate what everybody looks and believes was excessive force on behalf of the ICE agent, the goon in the street, who had no business there and appears was completely lacking in training on how to do just a basic traffic stop and get people orderly and moving on their way. And a woman has now lost her life. So not just that, but these prosecutors who are in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota have resigned. It says at least 6 career prosecutors, and some of them have been with the office and have, well, they all have great reputations, but some have been with the office and led major cases. And it says they have resigned, including Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson, as the office continues to face pressure to treat the investigation of the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis woman by an ICE officer as an assault on a federal officer case. And they were asking them to do things like investigate her wife and dig up dirt. I told you guys the other day, this government functions like the mob. And so they believe in doing these pressure campaigns, putting the squeeze on people and figuring out whatever and whomever they can expose in order to get to their targets, or in order to push and obfuscate the blame, get it away from them. Shiny object over here. Let me entertain you and distract you over here so you don't see the thing that's right in front of your face. That is the way they function. That is the way that they operate. And that's what they were doing here. They're trying to get these well-established members of the U.S. Attorney's Office, career prosecutors who know the job, to instead do the opposite of what the job is that they're supposed to be doing. And so they've left. And we've seen this over and over again in all kinds of cases. That's why that now disgraced and dismissed by a judge, Lindsay Halligan lady, who had zero experience, but was trying to bring major cases like against James Comey, against Tish James, and ended up disqualified because they couldn't find anybody who actually knew how to do the job, who had the bona fides to do the job, but also had the ethics that go along with the job. They couldn't get anybody to do what Trump and Bondi wanted done. And so they just went and plucked somebody off the street who was doing real estate law or something like that and had them try to do the job and messed it up. That's the thing, messed it up. Because these are serious times, serious jobs for serious people. The one thing that's probably saving us right now as a country from complete wrecking of our democracy, though we're inching closer every day, the one thing that I've said over and over again is likely saving us is incompetence. Even when they have a plan and they're working the plan and they're going through their Project 2025 plan, they don't have all the best people. They have the worst people. So even when it comes to being criminally criminal, they can't get it right because they don't have the expertise. They're not surrounded by people who have put their lives and careers into learning how to do things well. And so that's how you end up like with Pete Hegseth being Department of War, Pam Bondi, who for a while was a great attorney, but I at least competent. But something Trump derangement syndrome is real, except for it's the people that he surrounds himself with. They all put their entire lives on the line in order to do his bidding. And then he still survives it. And they end up like disbarred, in jail, bankrupt, just lives in tatters. Yes. I agree with you. Yes. I'm saying yes to all of y'all. A bunch of mediocre, failing forward DEI hires. 1,000%. 1,000%. Didn't earn it hires is exactly who they are. Didn't earn it. Don't deserve it. Didn't earn it. DEI hires is exactly who they are. And what a shame, right? A disgusting shame that we would have been at one point one of the most powerful countries in the world. And we are becoming more and more insular, more and more isolated, more and more us against the rest of the world, doing things to alienate long-standing allies and to ingratiate ourselves as a country with dictators and murderers. That's where we are. So I've done my mission for today, which is to highlight the lawsuit. Pay attention to that. The lawsuit that Keith Ellison has filed. Go read up about that, please, so you know what's going on. To highlight these mass exoduses. And when career prosecutors, when career attorneys, when they give up their jobs, that's not a light thing. They're walking away, they're taking early retirement, they're sacrificing income, they're sacrificing reputation in some circles, they're leaving work that they're committed to. That is serious. When you see lawyers do that, that means God only knows. That means God only knows what's actually happening inside the building. That we can't even imagine if it's that serious. That means they've tried everything and nothing worked. What am I going to say next, y'all? Be active, vote. I got to say it every day. I got to say it every day until November in some way, shape, or form. Make sure you're registered to vote. Share this information, please. Like, share, subscribe, follow, share. See, I keep going back to share. Share the information so that people will know. Just because it's not happening in your state today doesn't mean you're not next. Doesn't mean it won't be you. That is not what that means. So you have to, right now, become involved and understand that we are all in this together. And the only way we survive is in community. Okay, guys, I will be back tomorrow at my regularly scheduled time, noon Eastern. Please come back, continue to join us. We appreciate you here. And tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a friend of me, tell an enemy. We want everybody to understand as much as possible and be informed. Because once you hear the truth, then you've got to negotiate and do something with it. At some point, some part of it has to stick. Okay? Until next time, you guys stay safe out there.